distinguished multi-location dais. It is our proud privilege to have the gracious presence of today's chief guest, Professor Sanjeev Sharma, sir, Honorable Visionary Honorable Vice Chancellor of National Institute of Ayurveda, Jaipur. Our chairperson of today's webinar is Professor Ashwini Bhargav, sir, National General Secretary, Vishwa Ayurveda Parishad, and ex-registrar, Guru Ravidas Ayurveda University, Punjab, and Professor Rashastra and Bhashijya Kalpana, Dayanand Ayurveda College, Jalandhar. The speakers of today's webinar are Dr. Dinesh K.S., Professor and Head, Department of Kumar Bhritya, Vaidyaratnam P.S. Warrior Ayurveda College, Kerala. And our second speaker is Dr. Arun Mahapatra, Assistant Professor, Postgraduate Department of Kumar Bhritya, All India Institute of Ayurveda, Jaipur, New Delhi, All India Institute of Ayurveda, New Delhi. We are delighted to have other renowned and esteemed personalities with us. Our National Executive Committee, our Margdarshak Professor S.P. Mishra, sir, President Vishwa Ayurveda Parishad, National President Vishwa Ayurveda Parishad, Professor B.M. Gupta, sir, National Organizing Secretary Vishwa Ayurveda Parishad, Professor Yogesh Mishra, sir, President Vishwa Ayurveda Parishad, Uttar Pradesh, Dr. Surendra Chaudhary, sir, and Dr. Govind Shukla, sir, Principal, Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, Rajasthan Ayurveda University, Jodhpur. We also have Dr. Mahesh Vyas, sir, Professor and Head, Department of Maulik Siddhant, All India Institute of Ayurveda, New Delhi. We have Professor K.K. Dwivedi, sir, and we also have Dr. Mahesh Vyas, sir, and we also have our second coordinator of this webinar, Dr. Swati Tyagi, madam. She is director of Shri Dayanand Ayurveda Shala, Arogya Shala and Panchkarma Center, Delhi, and she is also the coordinator of this webinar. Now, with the kind permission of our chief guest, Honorable Professor Sanjeev Sharma, sir, may we start the event by invoking the blessings of Lord Dhanvantari. And yes, I request Professor Mahesh Vyas, sir, for Deep Prajwalan and Dhanvantari Pujan, and I also request Dr. Nikita Sharma to recite the Dhanvantari Vandana. Dr.
Surasuri loke unasham datarmisham vividhashadhina dhanvantari namanartham sarvaroga nivarakam ayurvedo pravattaram vande piyushadayakam sarve janaah sukhino bhavantu vande santu niramaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you, Professor Mahesh, sir, and Dr. Nikita. Moving on. Now I am inviting Dr. Surendra Chaudhary, sir, President Vishwa Ayurveda Parishad, Uttar Pradesh, to formally welcome our all guests.
Thank you, Dr. Nisha, for inviting me just to welcome such distinguished battery of personalities over here today. तो सबसे पहले मैं प्रोफेसर संजीव शर्मा जी जो वाइस चांसलर हैं NIA जयपुर के, उनका स्वागत करता हूं आपकी सभा में। आज हमारे बीच में जो दो स्पीकर हमारे साथ में रहेंगे, डॉक्टर अरुण महापात्रा जी और डॉक्टर दिनेश KS जी, इन दोनों का भी आज की सभा में स्वागत है। और आज के दो कोऑर्डिनेटर्स जो आज को कोऑर्डिनेट करेंगे, मॉडरेट करेंगे आज की सभा के डॉक्टर निशा ओझा और डॉक्टर त्यागी, आप सबका भी आज के इस वेबिनार में स्वागत है। साथ ही यहाँ पर उपस्थित सभी विश्व आयुर्वेद परिषद के पदाधिकारी, दायित्वधारी और कर्मठ कार्यकर्ता जो आज की सभा में उपस्थित हैं, उन सभी का मैं आदर करता हूँ, स्वागत करता हूँ। इटली से हमारे बीच में आदरणीय स्वामीनाथ मिश्रा जी भी जुड़े हैं, उनका भी विश्व आयुर्वेद परिषद की इस वेबिनार में स्वागत है। जैसा कि आप लोगों को विदित ही है कि विश्व आयुर्वेद परिषद निरंतर आयुर्वेद की उत्थान और प्रगति के लिए सतत प्रयासरत रहता है। कोविड जैसे महामारी के समय में भी हम लोगों के जो अंग हैं, उपअंग हैं, जिसमें शिक्षक हैं, चिकित्सक हैं, विद्यार्थी हैं, औषध निर्माता हैं, हर्ब ग्रोवर्स हैं और जनमानस है, तो परिषद सदैव से ही इन सभी के लिए कुछ न कुछ कार्यक्रम आयोजित करते रहते हैं। पहले हम फिजिकल सारे कार्यक्रम करते थे, लेकिन विगत 2 वर्षों से इस वेबिनार के माध्यम से हम निरंतर अपने इन सभी लोगों से जुड़े रहते हैं। अभी शिक्षकों के लिए एक कार्यक्रम किया गया था। अभी आजकल विद्यार्थियों के लिए जो यूजी के फर्स्ट ईयर के विद्यार्थी नए आए हैं, उनके लिए 40 लेक्चर्स की एक सीरीज विश्व आयुर्वेद परिषद राजस्थान यूनिट के द्वारा चलाई जा रही है। इससे पूर्व में पीजी के लिए स्कॉलर्स के लिए हम लोगों ने रिसर्च मेथोडोलॉजी का एक पूरे सप्ताह का कार्यक्रम किया था। अभी आगामी भविष्य में पीजी फर्स्ट ईयर स्टूडेंट्स के लिए 20 जून से लेकर 29 जून तक रिसर्च मेथोडोलॉजी का एक वर्कशॉप करने का कार्यक्रम बन गया है, उसकी रूपरेखा बन गई है। इसी तरीके से अभी पिछले माह में ही पूरे देश भर के वे सारे चिकित्सक जिन्होंने कोविड के पॉजिटिव केसेस को आयुर्वेद से सफलतापूर्वक ठीक किया है, उन सब का एक 15 दिन का एक्सपीरियंस शेयरिंग वेबिनार हम लोगों ने रात्रि में 9 बजे से लेकर 11 साढ़े 11 बजे तक आयोजित किया, जिसमें लगभग 500 से अधिक पार्टिसिपेंट्स कई बार जुड़े, जिनको हम एकोमोडेट भी नहीं कर पाए थे। तो इस तरीके से परिषद निरंतर सभी लोगों के लिए इस कठिन काल में कुछ न कुछ कार्य करता रहता है। और आज का जो वेबिनार है, ये बहुत समसामयिक है कि जैसा जो एक्सपर्ट्स हैं, जो स्टैटिस्टिशियंस हैं, उन्होंने ये घोषणा की है कि शायद जो तीसरी लहर आने वाली है वो अधिकतर बालकों को या बच्चों को प्रभावित करेगी। और आज के हमारे दोनों विशेषज्ञ स्पीकर्स जो हैं, वो अपने आप में बाल रोग विशेषज्ञ भी हैं। तो मुझे लगता है कि परिषद का ये प्रयास अपने विशुद्ध जो चिकित्सीय अनुभव ये शेयर करेंगे, जो आज के प्रतिभागी हैं उनके लिए भी, और आगे सारे प्रतिभागी इसको समाज में किस तरीके से लेकर जा सकते हैं कि हम कैसे एक आने वाली लहर को जो बच्चों को ज्यादा प्रभावित करेगी, आयुर्वेद और विश्व आयुर्वेद परिषद उसको किस तरीके से रोक सकता है। इसके लिए आज का आयोजन निश्चित रूप से एक महत्वपूर्ण आयोजन है। मैं पुनः अपने मुख्य अतिथि, अपने दोनों स्पीकर्स और आज की वेबिनार में प्रतिभागियों का पुनः स्वागत करता हूं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। निशा जी।
धन्यवाद सर। Now it is time to listen our chief guest, a dynamic and visionary Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Sanjeev Sharma sir. May I now invite sir to bless the audience with your valuable words. Sir, please.
Thank you, Nisha ji, and my namaskar to all. Respected Professor Ashwini Bhargav ji, Professor Mahesh Vyas ji, Dr. Surinder Chaudhary ji, Dr. Dinesh ji, Dr. Swaminath ji, Shri Yogesh Mishra ji, Dr. K.K. Dwivedi ji, Dr. Arun Mahapatra ji, Dr. Nisha ji, Dr. Swati ji, and all other dignitaries and office bearers of Vishwa Ayurved Parishad who have joined here on this platform, and all those audience who are witnessing. Am I audible?
Ji sir, please.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
So
sir.
all those audience who are witnessing this event through various social media channels, and I first of all I'm really thankful to Vishwa Ayurved Parishad as giving me this opportunity to be with you people, and also designating me as a chief guest of the event. Really, this is a wonderful opportunity for me. And I'm thankful to all of you, and particularly Vishwa Ayurveda Parishad, so that I can share my views, and I can also listen the views of the different experts who will be delivering their deliberations today. I know that how Vishwa Ayurveda Parishad is working hard globally, not nationally, but globally, and what the network Vishwa Ayurveda Parishad has interlaced, and what the outcomes and different programs, as Dr. Sarinder Chaudhary right now was discussing, that what kind of programs they are conducting, and if there are different kinds of programs they are conducting, and to bring up the Ayurveda. That is the main motto of this Vishwa Ayurveda Parishad, and to serve the society through Ayurveda. That is the main purpose of this organization, and I am really thankful and congratulate the organization to organize this kind of seminar or webinar today, which is very much timely seminar, I can say, amidst the speculations and apprehensions that now the third wave of COVID-19 that is being expected. And the expectations are, our apprehension, our speculations are there that that wave may affect children.
सुनो, एक बिल बनवानी है, बिल बुक बनाना है, ठीक है, तो वो भेजा है।
संजीव सर, आप म्यूट हो गए, प्लीज एक बार अनम्यूट कर लीजिए।
हाँ, सो यहाँ ये नोटिफिकेशन आ रही है कि होस्ट हैज म्यूटेड अस।
नहीं, वो मेरे से गलती से हुआ, दूसरे को करने के चक्कर में आपको हो गया।
Okay, no issue. No issue. Thank you. So speculations and apprehensions are there that the pediatric population is going to be affected most in the coming week. Although I can say that these are merely speculation and apprehension, and we should not be very much worried about, but at the same time we should be careful also, that because it's about the loss and damage we have faced during the second wave, that should not happen during the third wave, and our preparedness through all the means, mentally, physically, and infrastructurally, our preparedness should be there. And we know that children are the we can say that these children are a unique and supremely important national asset, and India is the host of the child population in the world, and more than 30% of the population of India is of this age group that I can say that is of childhood age, and this is an important wealth for our country, and we have to save, preserve, and invest upon this population, because this is the future of all the countries, and particularly our country as well. But this population is having its diversities, its various changing needs at different ages. We can say right from the pregnancy, newborns, babies, toddlers, preschoolers, school age, preteens, teens, or grown up, or we can say adults, adolescents, and grown adults. These are the different horizons of the pediatric population, and the needs, demands, they are different at different ages. So I can say that this specialization, that is the pediatrics or Bal Rog in Ayurveda, is having so much variability in the management of the diseases or prevention of the diseases, or the changes in the physical, psychological, or mental status of a child. That is, these are the various challenges in this specialty. But when we talk about the COVID-19 and threat to the COVID-19, that is very much to the children, not that they will get affected, but right now what we are facing, that is that the children are within the walls of houses, and they are bound, and they are out of the schools, out of playgrounds, out of their basic studies, and online teaching or training, whatsoever is going on for the children, that is much more dangerous for such children. And what we are observing, even at my home, I am observing that the children, or even my son, they are getting affected by all these circumstances, although they are not even if they are not affected by the COVID, but the circumstances which have been created by the COVID and lockdown situations, schools are closed, and everything that has affected and impacted the health of children. And that impact is in the form of physical problems, psychological problems, psychosocial problems, or behavioral problems. Means different types of problems they are facing without suffering from the COVID-19 because of the circumstances. And if some child that gets affected by the COVID-19, like infection or some other infectious disease, that will definitely multiply the problems. So definitely in that sense, as a preparedness for the forthcoming wave, if it comes, this seminar and these type of seminars or webinars, they become very important, so that the awareness among us, the professionals, among us the masses, can be created, and how we can save our children from this deadly virus or infection, and at the same time how we can address the various problems, physical and particularly psychological problems, which the children are facing and they are getting. And they definitely, these problems, these issues, they will run lifelong for a child. And we have to work hard to bring the children out of this scenario, out of these circumstances, so that our child can get a healthy atmosphere, an open atmosphere, and that will be better. That will be better for their personal benefit, as well as for the benefit of the family and society. So really, this is a wonderful effort, and what the step you people have taken. And I'm thankful to, through your platform, I am also I want to convey my thanks to Ministry of AYUSH for issuing timely guidelines for the prevention of COVID-19 like infection in children. And I am happy to say that our institute and Dr. Nisha, she was also associated for drafting and finalizing these guidelines under the leadership of Professor Abhimanyu Kumarji. So really the Ministry of AYUSH is doing a lot and very good work during this COVID-19 period. And hopefully that by in the efforts which you people are doing, which we all are doing, we will be able to save our child population, our pediatric population from this COVID-19, and much damage will be controlled, or it will be prevented. So I hope that this seminar in that sense will be very useful, and the speakers who are from this specialization, definitely they will enlighten us much more that how we can prevent this infection in the children, and if it happens, then what we should we do in such a situation. And those deliberations will be much guiding force for we people, that how we can spread that message to the masses. I wish this webinar a great success, and I wish a good deliberation to the
सर दोबारा से आप एक बार अनम्यूट कर लीजिए.
So last words means I'm thankful to all of you giving me the opportunity and to make me the part of this webinar, and I shall be enlightened by the deliberations of eminent speakers. I wish this seminar a great success. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your blessings and sparing your valuable time and your thoughts with us. Thank you so much, sir. Now, I also want to welcome in this webinar Professor B.L. Mehra, sir, who has joined this webinar from Himachal Pradesh, and Dr. Prakash Doshi, sir, Dr. Aziz Arbar, and Dr. Professor S.K. Tiwari, and all the renowned and dignitaries present over here. And now I invite Dr. Swati Tyagi, madam, for further coordination of this workshop.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good afternoon to all the viewers, participants. I, Dr. Swati Tyagi, deem it a great honor and privilege to welcome you all in today's national webinar on pediatric healthcare, organized by Vishwa Ayurveda Parishad under the guidance of Honorable Shri Mahesh Vyas sir. His unparalleled dedication, devotion to promote and propagate Ayurveda not only at national level but also globally is a constant source of inspiration and motivation for all of us. As we all know, coronavirus has surely made it difficult for the management of everyday routine with the infants and children. The anxiety among people is now increasing as more cases of infection of COVID-19 in children has surfaced. Also, amid the apprehension of third wave of COVID has instilled fear among people as it is likely to impact the children most. Due to this, many people have multiple questions in regards to COVID-19 infection. To answer all these queries and clear our doubts, we have today with us Dr. Dinesh KS and Dr. Arun Mahapatra, who will be enlightening our minds with their views on these relevant and pertinent topics of today. So, it's my pleasure to welcome our first eminent speaker for today, Dr. Arun Mahapatra, sir, who is working as assistant professor in the Department of Kumar Bharatya at All India Institute of Ayurveda, New Delhi. His topic for today is COVID-19 Children Plan, Prioritize and Protect. Before we start, let me give you a quick introduction of our esteemed speaker. Sir has experience including total teaching experience of 9 years, out of which around 6 years of PG training is in concerned subject. He is recognized PG and PhD guide, University of Delhi. He is represented Ministry of Ayush in Seminar Cum Ayurveda Medicine exhibition at Dushanbe, Tajikistan, February 2018. He has published more than 20 papers in different peer-reviewed journals and surveys. He has published more than 4 books. He has given more than 30 presentations at different events. His additional achievements are he had been nominated as Associate Editor General of Ayurveda Case Reports published by All India Institute of Ayurveda, New Delhi. He has been acted as examiner at University of Delhi, BHU, Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, Rajasthan Ayurveda University, Jodhpur, SGT University, etc. He has acted as co-coordinator at All India Ayush postgraduate entrance exam since year 2017 as coordinator in Smart India Hackathon under Ministry of HRD and AICTE. He coordinated number of other various eminent events. Also, his achievements include winning various awards like Himalaya Jivak Award 2003 for securing highest marks in Utkal University, Dr. Trupti Mishra Smriti Sansad Award for securing highest marks in third professional BMS examination, Dabur Ayurveda Award for securing highest marks in second professional BMS examination, Dr. D.N. Datta Memorial Award 2002 for securing highest marks in Rog Vigyan and Prakriti Vigyan. Now, may I please request Dr. Arun Mahapatra to address the webinar. Over to you, sir, Dr. Arun.
Thank you, madam, for your kind words, madam. Namaskar to all of you. Respected Honorable Sanjeev Sharma, sir, Professor Ashwini Bhargav ji, and respected Dinesh sir, and my teacher Nisha madam, Dr. Swati, and our Mahesh Vyas sir for giving me this opportunity. And I'm especially thankful to Vishwa Ayurveda Parishad for such an initiative by conducting this national webinar on pediatric healthcare in this current era of COVID-19. So I will be discussing today about the COVID-19 in children, particularly how to plan, prioritize, and how to protect our pediatric population in this time. Am I visible?
Yes.
Thank you. So today we'll discuss about the COVID-19 in children, how to plan, prioritize, and protect. So we expect our children playing in rains, playing in parks, enjoying the sunshine, learning new things, innovating things, their creativity. But Unfortunately, today they are behind the masks. They are being unlocked due to this COVID-19 situation. So this COVID-19 has disrupted many of lives. Our life has been impacted a lot. As of a nation, there is also an impact on economy. There is impact on the healthcare mechanisms. So the most disrupted population is the children, that is pediatric population. So COVID-19 has some direct effects, some has some indirect effects. Direct effects in form of infection to the children. It may be an acute respiratory, upper respiratory infection or a lower respiratory infection, or some indirect effects like downscaling of regular child health and maternal preventive health care. There is closure of schools, increased screen time, increased sedentary. Am I audible?
Please continue.
So there is also a disruption of circadian rhythm. There are many mental health issues coming, and a lot of nutritional issues are also coming. So to address this situation, we have to deal with this very tactfully. So reading newspapers today is just like a horror story, because every day new experts came. There is a newspaper article that there is third wave coming, and it will be severe, and children will be the next vulnerable group. There are a lot of reports coming on. So there is a situation of panic everywhere. But today I will try to discuss some of the questions which are coming in our mind. Number one, really is third wave coming or not? Well, the children will be the main target this time. What will be the severity if it comes? Will the pediatric case fatality rate will be increasing as compared to the first wave, second wave? How to prepare for this situation? Is there any difference between presentation of adult COVID-19 versus COVID-19 in children? Is there any role of drugs in contemporary medicines, so-called evidence-based science? And what should be our management algorithm as per our principles? So I will try to discuss these topics today. So the first question is the third wave coming or not? Will the children will be targeted this time? This is the first question which you regularly hearing in all the newspapers, news, media, etc. So the answer is the third wave may or may not come. All the predictions which are coming now are based on the statistical and mathematical models only. And there are certainly no epidemiological or medical data presently available to prove that definitely the third wave is coming. And the experiences from other countries like Singapore or USA cannot be extrapolated in India because conditions are different in those countries. In our country, it is different. And even if the third wave comes, then most of the cases will be of asymptomatic or mild in nature. So there is definitely no need to panic. But the key to execute the things properly is to prepare ourselves for the worst. In army, it is just like a war. So it is better to plan and prepare because COVID-19 is just like a war. And to conquer your enemy, you require a very strategic planning, a very coordinated team effort, and proper execution. So in army person always say that the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. So how to be prepared for the worst conditions? So we need a COVID-19 strategic preparedness and responsive plan for children in Ayush perspective. It starts from individual level, family level, at a level of medical college or institution, community level, state level to international level. And all these efforts should be coordinated because the actions in isolation will not help us in preventing COVID-19 waves. So what will be the planning strategy? So how to deal with this situation? Number one part is we have to create one SOPs. SOPs for the drug formulation, SOPs for the conditions, SOPs for the how to manage the conditions, home guidelines, and Ministry of Ayush has come with these guidelines which are very timely needed. So the second point is that how to procure the comorbid specific medications. Suppose, for example, third wave comes and we are not prepared with medications, we will not able to deal with the situations very properly. The second thing is that continued community education, prophylaxis, and counseling through teleconsultation. Because as an Ayurveda practitioner, we are always well connected with the community. If we can educate them about the prophylaxis, the endemicity will come, the pandemic situation can be managed very successfully. The third point is that necessary training and orientation is required for this situation, because there is a difference between managing an adult patient and a child. The child is very delicate, there is a wide age range also there. So regular training and orientation is required. Once the training and orientation is completed, so certainly appropriate deployment of the trained comorbid consultant in hospitals is very necessary. After the deployment, because there are clinic functional, there is hospital functioning, and we may require some emergencies, radiological facilities and other help of other professionals. So there should be a collaboration of emergency management and referral services. There is requirement of strengthening laboratory and radiological services, and more focus on research and development, so that we can come up with some evidence-based medications also. It is not that the Ayurveda is classical and it is not evidence-based, but world wants that we should reprove ourselves. And more or less all these facets are administrative in nature, but still then at the individual level we can try, we can attach with the community, we can train them, we can try to stop this third wave if it is possible. And next question is, the number of affected children were more in second wave. Will this number will escalate more this time? The second question comes in our mind. So answer is no, because the number of cases of in children is highly dependent upon the total number of adults that are infected. And if you see the statistics, in the less than 20 years of age of all confirmed cases, it is consistently below 12%. And the case fatality rate among children is only 0.1%. So it is very less, but still then we have to be very careful about the coming third wave, anticipated third wave. So next question is that, is there any difference in the clinical presentation in the COVID-19 pediatric patient as compared to the adult patients? So if you see the symptomatology is the same in children as well as in adults, like they show features like fever, cough, rhinorrhea, there will be body ache, there will be malaise, there will be anorexia, loss of smell and taste, and everything is equal as equivalent to the adult patients. But only the thing is that when assessing the respiratory rate, because as the respiratory rate is age dependent variability, so there is below 2 months it should be below 60 per minute, 2 to 12 months it should be below 50 per minute, and so on. So this is the only thing that is different, and we have to watch for that. Apart from this, everything is same, everything is equal, and the severity will be maximum asymptomatic to mild form. So some reports have been showing atypical presentations, like there are some cases with gastrointestinal symptoms, about 5 to 10%, and there is predominantly diarrhea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and these occur without any respiratory symptoms. This point has to be taken very carefully, because even with absence of respiratory symptoms, a child may be COVID positive. It is unnecessary to test all, but with a suspicion, keep in mind that COVID may present with atypical presentations. Apart from that, cutaneous manifestations in less than 3% have been reported, and some multi-system inflammatory syndrome in children, that is Kawasaki-like disease. It is also a very rare phenomenon. So we have to only look for the classical features, fever, cough, rhinorrhea. There is no need to panic. The adult and pediatric population both are exhibiting similar symptoms. Now, question is that in first and second wave, children were less frequently severely affected. What are the reasons for children which are less frequently severely affected in COVID-19? So I would like to draw the kind attention of this research paper, which was published in 2020. Why the children fare better than adults? Because it has been shown that children are less susceptible to coronavirus compared to other respiratory virus, and usually children get the infection from their adult family members, and research shows that after infection of household contacts, odds of infection in children is significantly less as compared to the elderly, with an odds ratio of 0.26. Moreover, the receptor, for the portal of the entry, COVID virus requires the receptor known as angiotensin converting enzyme, that is AS2, which varies with the age. Now, in children, these receptors are more expressed in the upper respiratory tract and the less expressed in lower respiratory tract, contrary to the adults, where there is more receptors in the lower respiratory tract. So the chances of COVID respiratory tract infection, URGI is more than having a pneumonia in a COVID-19 children. So apparently they are little bit protected towards COVID-19. And children usually have very less risk factors like such as comorbidities like diabetes and hypertension. And by God's grace, their regeneration capacity of their pediatric alveolar epithelium is excellent. So even if they get infected, there is an early recovery. And children have strong innate immune response in our country due to frequent viral infections and secondary to live vaccines. Moreover, features like cytochrome storms and dysfunctional immune response is very less seen in these children. So there is very much less chance that this severity will be very high severe. It will be mild or asymptomatic form. One paper recently published that the COVID-19 is an airborne transmission. At the first and second wave, we focused on contact transmission and droplet transmission. But this time we have to be very cautious about this airborne transmission, and hospital management and other administrative setup has to look to protect our healthcare facility workers as well as children with this airborne transmission. Now, next question is that is evidence-based medicine is really evidence-based? What is the status report? So with first and second wave, our modern practitioners gave a bouquet of medications in form of antimicrobials, hydroxychloroquine, all types of VIRs, ivermectin, tocilizumab, corticosteroids, plasma therapy. There were no randomized controlled trial in pediatric studies. Data were only extrapolated from adults and were given to the population. So in this context, World Health Organization in March 31st, 21 and Government of India DGHS has recently released guidelines which says that there is no use of ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, lopinavir, remdesivir, IL-6 blockers, monoclonal antibodies, vitamin D, antimicrobials. All these are rubbish in COVID-19. Only there is a strong recommendation of systemic corticosteroids, and we also know that if it is not used cautiously, then other complications are now cropping in, and future will tell what are the adverse events of these using of these corticosteroids in patients. So, what are now our strength areas and execution algorithm as per Ayurveda principles? We have to understand this. Now, if you look upon the clinical features of this COVID severity, they are classified into 4 categories: asymptomatic, mild, moderate, and severe. So, the majority of the patients will either be asymptomatic or will be child in pediatric population particularly, and it can be well managed to standalone Ayurveda medications. Majority of the moderate severity COVID-19 children will also can be managed with Ayurveda medications. A rest a few may need integrated management, and the severe definitely with the help of integrated protocol, infrastructure and trained manpower, we can also handle these type of cases in under the integrated protocol. Now, with the Ayurveda perspective, how can we proceed? So I've classified the whole population of our interest, that is pediatric population, into 4 phases. Number one is pre-exposure phase, second is post-exposure phase, phase 3 is active infection phase, and post-COVID phase, that is 4th phase. So accordingly, our principles of management will vary, and we have to be careful about this. So in phase 1 and phase 2, that is pre-exposure phase and post-exposure phase, our target is healthy pediatric population, vulnerable pediatric population, children with positive contact history, and children of frontline COVID warriors. Particularly the vulnerable pediatric population, because often Ayurveda practitioners, particularly comorbid consultants, always deal with these patients which modern practitioners usually refer to us or they refuse to treat, like cerebral palsy, muscular dystrophy, renal disorders, Down syndrome. So all these vulnerable population has also should be taken care of apart from our healthy pediatric population. Now the phase 3, that is acute infective phase, is also divided into 2 parts. One is asymptomatic, another is symptomatic. The symptomatic will have 3 phases: stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. In stage 1, there will be Purvarupa Jaro-like features in the child and features of Rasava Sota Dushti Lakshan. In stage 2, there will be a Kapha predominant stage, and in stage 3, there will be a Pitta predominant stage where there will be a sudden rise of temperature and there will be thirst-like feeling. In Kapha stage, there will be Shiro Gauravam, Manda Jvara will be seen. So accordingly, I have tried to classify the active infective stage in symptomatic, asymptomatic, and asymptomatic is further divided into stage 1, 2, and 3. Now the fourth stage is the post-COVID phase. So there are 4 possibilities are there. Number 1, the disease is resolved with no sequel. Number 2, resolution is there, but there is some pulmonary sequel. And the third possibility is there some complication, maybe they are like MISC or some other complications or mucormycosis, and both these are very, very rare in our India, and commonly it should not be considered while treating the patients. So if you see from the Ayurveda perspective, majority of the patients will heal without any sequel, will have some Jara Uttar Daurvalya. Some minimum patients will have some Kaphaj Vataj Upadrava like dry cough and Patishay pertaining to Pranava Sotas. Very rare population of pediatrics will, after COVID-19, will show some Rakta Dushti, Pitta Prakopa-like Lakshan, Visharpa-like Lakshan, widespread inflammatory changes like MISC and mucormycosis, and with not judicious use of paracetamol and other antipyretics of modern science, some may proceed towards Visama Jara also. So what may be the basic prevention and management algorithm for a pediatric COVID-19 cases? So how to manage? So for phase 1 and 2, we have a plan 1, that is pre-exposure prophylaxis and post-exposure prophylaxis. For phase plan, then is symptomatic case management plan, and for phase 4, that is post-COVID phase, we have a restorative care plan and complication management plan. So first of all, we discuss about what is the management of phase 1 and phase 2, that is pre-exposure and post-exposure population. So it has to be managed with holistic prophylaxis program, considering the national guidelines like frequent hand washing, wearing mask, social distancing, avoiding close contacts. Now DGHS has recently published that there is no requirement of wearing mask for below 5 years of age, and there is threefold management principles like Ahar Yojana, Vihar Yojana, and Aushadhi Yojana. The Ahar Yojana is nutritional care, Vihar Yojana is lifestyle modification and psychological support, and use of certain medications which will prevent the children from getting COVID-19 or any sort of influenza-like illness. So we'll discuss what is the Ahar Yojana. The food, the Kashyap mentioned that Ahara is Mahaveshya. So the food given in a right proportion, right wholesome food as per the Ritucharya, Dinacharya, Prakriti and Agni will definitely enhance the immunity of the child. Avoid adhesion in children, avoid junk foods, manage Ajirna immediately, because if Ajirna is not managed, then it leads to Amadosha and may lead to the influenza-like illness. They are prone to influenza-like illness. Avoid Viruddhara like milkshakes and other things. Avoid Avishandi and Tikshna. Then lifestyle modifications and psychological support, increase physical activity of, obviously it is indoor physical activity, yoga and meditation, adequate sleep, limit the screen time and psychological support. We can help in lifestyle modification and psychological support through telemedicines. We have to identify the mental health issues promptly because it is cropping up very fast and majority of our pediatric population is getting some sort of health issues, particularly mental issues. Now, the third wave may or may not come, but with increased screen time, definitely ocular problems, pandemic will come. So there is obvious evidences that increased screen time is causing long-term stress and temperament changes in the preschoolers, and there is a myopia boom. So we have to take care of this screen time, as well as we can prescribe some Netriya Dravyas to the children so that they can be protected from these hazards. Now, second most important, with increased screen time comes the sleep disturbances. Now, China in 2002, a research paper came that we showed that the widespread sleep disturbances in preschoolers. Now, disrupted and insufficient sleep has been linked to immune system dysfunction. Now, how it affects the immune system, sleep disturbances. It affects adaptive immunity as well as innate immunity. If adaptive immunity is hampered, there is more chances of infectious disease. There is less chances of vaccine response. The vaccine response will reduce, and the infectious disease chances are more. And in the long run, the child is prone to suffer from cardiovascular disease, malignancies, and major depressive disorders. Now, after Ahar Yojana, Vihar Yojana, let's come to Aushadhi Yojana. Foremost thing is taking care of Agni. Agni Deepan Chikitsa may be given to the child. Chitraka Devati, Hingvashta Chuna, Rajanyadi, Avindasa. Very common medications were very effective. Occasionally, we can have a Krimi Chikitsa or post Shuddhi using Abhipati and Triphala. And Ushna Udaka, then recent guidelines suggest that Ayush Bal Path is very effective, will be very effective. And Shunthi Dhanya ka Siddha Jala, Tulsi Siddha Jala, Adrak Siddha Jala, and Pratimarshanasya. All this may be utilized in community level so that our children's immunity will be better. Then use of Rasayana drugs. So various Rasayana drugs are available with us, and judiciously we can choose among them like Sitopaladi, Agastya, Haridrakand, Raksha Valaya, Swarna Prashan. So obviously Swarna Prashan has been now one of the hit topics. It's very effective also. So Arvindasam, all this can be tried. Then comes the management of phase 3. It is divided into two types. What is asymptomatic case management and symptomatic case management. So if the child is RT-PCR positive or RAT positive and it is asymptomatic, they can be managed at home using teleconsultations and continue the post-exposure prophylaxis protocol I have mentioned, and we can monitor. And the Ministry of Ayush home care guidelines are there. It is a very comprehensive guideline, and the children with asymptomatic case can be well monitored and well managed with this protocol. So if the child is become symptomatic, classify as per the national guidelines, mild, moderate, severe. If you see the clinical symptomatology, there are Jwara Pradhan Lakshan will be there, Tasa Pratishaya, Swasa and Angamarda Parshvashul, and some of the patients will present with loss of taste, smell and loss of taste and smell sensations. Now how to proceed further? If it is a Jwara as a Pradhan Lakshana, now the child should avoid daytime sleep. Obviously, this is an institutional protocol. So as per the classical mentioning, avoid daytime sleep, heavy to digest food, extraneous exercises and kasaya rasa. And test whether it is suitable for Langana, because there is contraindications of Langana in children. So if the contraindication is there, we can proceed with Laghu Bhojan and Ushna Udaka till Nirama Lakshan is there. After the Nirama Lakshan, and we can administer Sadhan Panya for the management of Trishna and the sudden Pitta manifestations. So if you see the spectrum of the clinical features, there will be initially a Kapha predominant feature, followed by a Pitta predominant feature. And just before the Jwara Moksha, there will be a stage of resolution will start. And there may be a stage where there may be complication may be initiated. So assess and classify whether the dosha are Kapha predominant, Pitta predominant, or predominant. If it is Kapha predominant, Niramavastha is there, then Gadri Kvata Dashamura Katutrika. If Pitta predominant, then Patoladi Kasaya, Parpatadi Kasaya, Magradi Kasaya. If Vata predominant, Drakshadi or Dashamura Kasaya. And after the resolution of acute episode is there, then we can go for follow-up medications like Sudarshana, Churna or Amrita Rishta. And if the resolution of acute episode is not going and it is going towards Jirna Jwara or Vishama Jwara, reassess and manage accordingly. Another predominant feature is Kasa and Sukapurna Galashita. Similarly, assess and classify common medications. Gargling is definitely going to be helpful. If you can classify as per the predominance of dosha, then accordingly you can just administer the medications like Sitopaladi and Vasa Churna, Kantakarya Uleha, Chandramrita Rasa, and Suvarna Mati Vasantaras. If it is resolution is there, then go for follow-up medication. If cannot be resolved, then Jinakasha there, reassess and accordingly manage. The third and most important is Swasa. Swasa, that is breathlessness. So as per national guidelines, check vitals, respiratory rate and SpO2. I have already mentioned there is a specialty of respiratory rate, and SpO2 is 94% is the danger mark. But often we are seeing that up to 90% if the child is clinically stable, that we can also manage that child with our institutional support. And the first management will be Langhana and Ushna, and we can manage easily with Tamak Swas protocol. Like our common medications are very helpful and very effective. Now, last is the management of phase 4, that is restorative care and complication management. So, in the restorative care, we can use Rasana drugs if there is no pulmonary sequel or with minimal pulmonary sequel or pulmonary sequel, like Sitopaladic, Chavanprash, Agastya Rasayan, Kusmanda Rasayan, and Haridarakan. So, if there is late complications and Visarpa-like features or Antavidradi-like features like MIST is seen, which is very rare in Indian population. So considered Antavidradi or Visarpa-like management, and we can easily manage also. And the last and foremost, most important part is the mental health issues in children. A lot of children are reporting anxiety, fear, worry, depression, and a professional help may be always be required. So if we suspect that there is some mental issues, please screen for presence of anxiety and depression using standardized scales like PHQ-9, and immediately provide psychosocial first aid as per the guidelines. If it is clinically improved, then regular follow-up. If it is not, then managed as per our Manasarva protocol. You can give certain major asanas and it can be easily managed. So there are various guidelines, and foremost guideline is our comprehensive guidelines released by Ministry of Ayush. All students are requested, please go through these home care guidelines. Please share also, so that maximum number of our practitioners get access to this. It is available on the Ministry of AI website. And at last, I just want to give the key message that there is definitely no need to panic, but we have to prepare, we have to plan, we have to prioritize, because COVID-19 in children can be managed successfully and very well managed by our practitioners. Thank you very much for giving your precious time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for clearing our doubts and concepts and enhancing our understanding pertaining to today's topic. It's time to carry forward our session. It's my utmost pleasure to invite our second eminent speaker for today, Dr. Dinesh KS, who is working as a professor and HOD Department of Kumar Bhartiya Vaidyaratnam PS Warrior Ayurveda College, Kottakkal. His topic for today is preventing COVID-19 infection, the Vangara model. Before we get started, may I take the liberty to give the brief introduction of his various achievements and laurels. Sir has presented and lectured over 200 conferences, seminars, workshops, especially focusing on true spirit of Ayurveda to audiences across the country. These cover a wide range of topics from the basic to the most advanced. His famous publications are: he is the author of the Clinical Pediatrics in Ayurveda, published by Vasudevi Publication, Thrissur. First edition was published in 2017. He is also the author of Kumar Bhrityam, a textbook on the basis of syllabus of Kumar Bhrityam proposed by CCIM, released in connection with Navti celebrations. In January 2008, Kumar Bhartiya updated a note on the basis of revised CCM syllabus of BMS 2010. He was also a peer reviewer on the book Consultation in Ayurvedic Dermatology, written by Dr. P.M. Madhu, and many more. Adding to his credentials, his various memberships and foundation are as follows. He is the founder of Ayukam, Ayurveda Center of Autism and Learning Disability Management, Kottakkal, member of Indian Academy of Ayurveda Pediatrics, member of Ayurveda Medical Association in India, lifelong member of Indian Science Congress, member of Indira, International Network of Development of Research in Ayurveda by European Academy of Ayurveda, Germany, member of World Academy of Science, Engineering, Technology, Scientific Committees, and Editorial Review Boards. Finally, the member of Board of Studies of Ayurveda Universities of Calicut 2016. His professional and academic achievements include: he has won several cash awards for outstanding academic performances in the higher secondary education level. He has won 5 gold medals and several cash awards for different academic excellences during the undergraduate studies of Ayurveda in the University of Calicut. Second best award by European Academy of Ayurveda for young researchers for the paper correlation of a gut therapy protocol in change of AMA behavioral symptoms of autistic babies. And he has won the Consolation Award for the paper entitled Retrospective Analysis of an Ayurveda Treatment Protocol in Cerebral Palsy Children in First International and 9th Annual Conference of IACP at Hyderabad in 2014. Last but not the least, his vast specialized expertise includes individualized protocol making and management of autism, Ayurvedic management, and specially designed procedure-based therapies in children with developmental disorders, infertility management through Ayurveda therapies and lifestyle modification techniques, and finally, individualized protocol making and Ayurveda management in pre-conceptional care, especially to the high-risk couple. Now, may I please request Honorable Sir to kindly address the webinar. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon. Hope I am audible to all of you.
Yes,
Hello.
please. Yes. Please.
Namaste, Gurujis. Actually, most of the dignitaries in front of me are my teachers and my dear friends. First of all, let me thank and I am sincerely extending my love towards all the office bearers of this wonderful program. Without much introduction, because I was given with the 25 minutes, I need to wind up by 3:25. Today morning only, I got that time limits. Previously, I was informed that I was given with 1.5 hours. So the Vangara model of COVID prevention in children, the Vangara is the name of one block panchayat in Kerala. And this is a program, actually it is funded by Ministry of Ayush as a public health initiative program. And from the last slides of Mahapatra ji, there is a panic situation in the COVID-19 pandemic globally. Actually, there is no doubt. There are some invariable connectivity between the economy, politics, medicine, and panic situation. So if you are looking into several other areas like Melinda Gates Foundation, Johns Hopkins University, and their preparedness against the pandemic situation in the form of certain YouTube videos like Event 201, you will get much more information from that. And this is the cutshot of the video in the YouTube Event 201. Please be, at least you, once you see this video, then you will come to know what is the situation behind this pandemic creation among the global community. Even though ischemic heart disease is killing 3 times more number of death than the COVID-19, even though the stroke is killing more number of death than the COVID-19, the COVID-19 is creating a lot of panic situation nowadays. Even after 1.5 years, it is reaching up to 3.5 million only. But the pandemic is creating a lot of nuisance in the global harmony. There is nothing new in this disease, actually. Only RT-PCR is new. But the number is making us panic because we are not reducing the number of several others that I will tell you simply. But in children, there are main 44 papers are published right now regarding the COVID-19. It may occur 0.39 to 12.3% of the total infection. And majority of the symptom will be fever, cough, dyspnea, rhinopharyngitis. Majority are asymptomatic. And all the symptoms and its different variabilities were very well mentioned by our Dr. Arunji. And maximum problem that may happen in children are multi-system inflammatory disease like Kawasaki disease that may cause some recta pradorsha vigaras. Otherwise, it will not cause any much panic situation. But out of the total number, we are again in the panic mood like the third wave will hit on the children. The present number is man-made because we are not reducing the number of death by WHO protocol. We are not reducing the number of death by physician-induced mistakes. We are not reducing the number of death which was caused by virulent organism induced by vaccine, which are not reducing the number of death caused by our drugs. Means modern medication drugs. So the protocol induced, the drug induced, the vaccine induced, and the physician induced. Even the studies are showing even in the tertiary care center, 6.11% of mistakes are happening in Indian medical tertiary care centers. We are not reducing that number in the COVID-19. In this scenario, you look into the Vangara model, a public health initiative under the Department of Ayush, Government of India. The intervention method of the Vangara model was, the area selected for this program was Vangara block of Malappuram district of the Kerala, which holds the population of around 2.5 lakhs and which constitutes 7 gram panchayat, 63 LP schools, 214 Anganwadis and 23 schools and 74 Anganwadis were selected for the program. Total 3650 children were diagnosed with RURT, recurrent upper respiratory tract infection, because recurrent upper respiratory tract infection is the cardinal feature among children who are showing lack of immunity. If one child is having less immunity, they will first show upper respiratory tract infection. If one upper respiratory tract infection is happening once in 24 days, consecutively for 3 times or more, then the case is known as recurrent upper respiratory tract infection. So under this program, we have recruited 3650 RURTA cases. Along with that, we also recruited certain parents for some lifestyle guidelines workshops. We also recruited teachers of Anganwadi workers and certain teachers of other institutions for some webinars, for some seminars regarding Ayurveda lifestyle guidelines. We also recruited several parents to receive certain immunity management lifestyle guidelines. Our target is like this, 9,400 total beneficiaries, but this much target we have not achieved because this program has started even before the outbreak of COVID-19 for the immunity management, not after the COVID-19 outbreak. The conceptual work, why? Because we have selected the parents, we have selected the teachers, we have selected the local governance members, because all this framework was under a WHO concept that is known as supersetting approach of health promotion. The supersetting health approach promotion is simply means that under that heading, there is another program that is called as Ottawa Charter. We call it as Ottawa Charter. This is simply means if you want to make an intervention among a public by a public health program, you are not supposed to select the direct beneficiaries, but you should select the adjuvants and additional beneficiaries who are connected to the actual beneficiaries. So far, the children are concerned, the school teachers, Anganwadi teachers, parents, the panchayat members, ward members, the general education department members, and all other officials of ISM department, general education department, everyone will come to know what is going to do. That is the peculiarity of this Ottawa Charter and supersetting approach model. So, in supersetting approach, targeting a common overall goal such as improved health in a population group are carried out in a variety of different settings, not in a single setting. Even though we are giving the medicine, that is only a single setting. But you have to make intervention in different settings, like you can have several other programs related to this health intervention. So we conducted medical camp, we conducted seminars, we are conducting art forms, we are making Arogya Ganam. That has to be chanted in the common assembly of the school. And health club owner, the teacher who will be the authority of the health club of the school, he will take care of the total program. And the parents will be given the workshops and seminars. How to prepare the food, how to make the Murda Taila, how to make the Suvarna Prasha, everything will be given in the workshop. And the teachers will be given the workshops and seminars, how to identify the children who are having less agni, how to identify the children who are having less bala. These are the different topics of the teachers' workshops and seminars, and officials of each department that I will show you. These are the different departments which are connected to our program. This is the organizational chart of our program, Public Health Initiative. There will be a core committee by forming the different officials from our college, as well as different officials from different other departments which are connected to this Ayurveda program, like ISM medical officers, lower primary school teachers, ICDS workers, then inform about the further progress through the meetings. And these are the different organizational chart of the total program. And in the total program, we are propagating these 10 commandments, like food and its sources, dietary rules, daily regimens and promoting positive dinacharya, then rutucharya, then mental health and thought process, spiritual and moral hygiene, systematic personalized exercises and yoga, directions regarding natural urges, that is our Vega Dharanas, maintaining healthy sense organs, Indriya Samrakshana, and protection of nature and environment, Prakriti Samrakshana. All these are the different domains of our workshops and different awareness activities. So in addition to the medical administration, the lifestyle management programs are conducted among the children through different art forms and among the parents and teachers through different workshops and seminars. And the subject of the propagation of this awareness will be these 10 commandments in addition to the medication. This is the peculiarity of this Ottawa Charter supersetting approach. Otherwise, this is the holistic approach what we need to adopt in a public health program, which is very well lacking in so-called modern fraternity. And these are the team members of our public health initiative programs. And this is the symbol what we are putting for this PHI initiative that we are carrying with our total members. And this is the vehicle through which we are conducting our medical camps and supplying the medicines. This is the picture of that vehicle through which, this is a pharmacy, inbuilt pharmacy is there, through which we are supplying the medicine. This is a scenario before COVID-19 infection. And this is the initial sensitization process before starting the medical camp by our PHI program officials among the different members of different local governance body like Panchayat and Block Panchayat, and among the school teachers also. And after that, we are conducting the medical camp. In the medical camp settings, even in the first lockdown also, we have conducted medical camp and we supplied all the medicines to all the beneficiaries, all the selected beneficiaries, not all the beneficiaries, because right now the program is suspended due to heavy lockdown and unable to move further. And the implementation strategy, implementation style of the lifestyle guidelines through different awareness program like awareness classes, art forms, Arogya Ganam, posters and flyers, and we are making several calendars, and outcome assessment will be in each and every program. Like this is puppetry show. Puppetry show, the puppetry expert will give the lifestyle guidelines, these 10 commandments to the children, because the seminars we will not do much better among such small children who are less than 10 years of age. So we are conducting the puppetry shows to educate them, not to make the Vegadharana, and to teach them how to do the Dinacharya and Rudacharya. And these are the different calendars and posters conveying different Ayurveda slogans. January, February up to December, there will be 12 slogans in that calendar, so that in every month they can see each and every slogans. That is the style of different posters in the regional language. And the workshop will be like this. Before implementing the workshop, there will be an awareness class, and after that, after the workshop, we will measure the outcome, how much the workshop has benefited to the beneficiaries. And here is the hardcore of my presentation, that how we are treating this recurrent upper respiratory tract infection children. That is the take-home message that has to be taken from this program, because we are yet to prevent this COVID-19 third wave among the children. See, we have, on the basis of Ayurveda epistemology, we divided the total children into 3 groups. According to our Lakshana, we divided the total recurrent upper respiratory tract infection into 3 different groups, and they will receive 3 different style of management. And so far, no difference other than common recurrent upper respiratory tract infection in COVID cases. Children here in Kerala were noted. The 3 types of presentations of recurrent upper respiratory tract infection are Jwara Pradhana, Pradishwaya Shaswakasa Pradhana, and Kshaya Pradhana. It's a very simple diagnosis. First, you diagnose whether the child is susceptible or not by whether the child is having recurrent upper respiratory tract infection or not. If one respiratory tract infection in 1 month consecutively 3 or more times, that child is coming under RURTA. Classify that RURTA under these 3. Whether the first Lakshana is Jwara or not. Whether the first Lakshana is Pradishaya Shwasagasa or not. Whether the first Lakshana and persisting Lakshana is Rajeshma style of presentation or not. That is Kshaya. Accordingly, we can classify total recurrent upper respiratory tract infection into 3. That can be divided into 3. Pradishaya Shwasagasa Pradhana RURTA, Jwara Pradhana RURTA, and Kshaya Pradhana RURTA. In all these 3 groups, we give a Krimihara Dravya and Debanabhajana Dravya initially for 21 days. And we are giving Krimiknavadi as Krimihara Dravya. The Krimiknavadi, which is most popular in Kerala, even the common man are purchasing as an OTC product, this Krimiknavadi. And we are giving this Krimiknavadi for 21 days, because for the complete breakage of the life cycle of an average helminthic infestation in a childhood, we need a minimum of 21 days. So 21 days of Krimiknavadi application. And Debanabhajana, if the child is more Paithiga in nature, we will give Rajanyati Churna, otherwise Hingvashtaka Churna. This is the style of Debanabhajana what we are giving for 21 days. So the first phase is over. In managing RURTA, to build the immunity, to boost the immunity, first you manage the Krimi along with the Debanabhajana for 21 days. And after that, the next 6-month protocol, we gave 6-month protocol among 385 children that I will show you the results. Among the 385 children, we gave the 6 months of, we have finished the 6 months of protocol, of which 3 months will be Vyadhi Pratiniga and Hedu Pratiniga treatments, and the next 3 months will be Rasayana Chikitsa. The same principle, similar is the principle which was proposed by Dr. Arun G also. The 3 months of Hedu Pratiniga and Vyadhi Pratiniga and 3 months of Rasayana Chikitsa. See, simply, if the child is in Pradishaya Shwasagasa Pradhana RRTA, the Hedu Pratiniga and Vyadhi Pratiniga Chikitsa should be Pradishaya Shwasagasaharam, Kabavadaharam. So the best example what we are taking are Dashamula Gadutrayam in this program. Dashamula Gadutraya Savrusha. That means Dashamula Trigadu and Vrusha. These are the contents of Dashamula Gadutrayam. The reference is from Sahasra Yoga. Dashamula Gadutrayam and Kanagasavam we will mix together, so that it will be a good cocktail, so that the child will take so palatably. This will be given for 3 months. If the child is in Jwara Pradhana, if the first Lakshana is Jwara and the persisting Lakshana is Jwara, and then comes the less importance to be given to the Pradishaya, Shwasakasa, all these symptomatology. In such cases, instead of Dashamula Gadutraya, we will give one Twada which should have Jwarahara, Nimnonnada Jwarahara property. That is Indugandham. Indugandham, which is given in the Vadhya Gulma Chikitsa in Ashtanga Hridaya, also in Sahasra Yoga. Pudi Gadaru Dashamula. That is the yoga which starts with Induganta, Nimnonnada Joraharam, Balavardhanam cha. It is immune boosting as well as it arrests the frequent episodes of fever. So Induganta Kashaya, along with Kanagasam and Amardashtam, we will mix a cocktail of it, and that will be given for 3 months. And the Shayapradana RRTA. This is a one Kwada which is mostly popular in Kerala, that is Ela Kanadi Kwada, and which is indicated in Rajyakshma, and it is the reference of Sahasra Yoga, Ela Kanadi, which also manages RURTA, especially the Shayapradhanam RURTA, and this Ela Kanadi has to be mixed with Kanagasavam, that can be given for the next 3 months. And after these 3 months of application, we are giving this Rasayana Chikitsa in Pratishyaya Swasagasa Pradhana, Agastya Rasayana plus Haridraganda for the next 3 months. In Jara Pradhana, any of these Dadimajigirda or Indugandagirda or Chavanaprasa or Kusmand Rasayana for next 3 months. And in Shaya Pradhana, Kusmand Rasayana or Chavanaprasa for next 3 months. So 6 months protocol is over. Along with that, we should be very specific regarding the Patya, because all these conditions are Kabhavadiga in nature. So the most Kabhavadiga Ahara Viharas which are seen among the children are curd, chocolate, ice cream, toffees, and excess milk in Kabaja. And in Vadiga case, chips, lays, Cheetos, bakeries, fried items, and wafers. This has to be cut down. Only by Patyacharana, 33% of the children will get rid of recurrent upper respiratory tract infection. These are the results of 385 children who are subjected for this recurrent upper respiratory tract infection PHI program. See, majority of the children are get rid of this RURTA from the different symptoms. I expressed only in terms of percentage for the easy understanding, not in terms of our significance like p-value or t-value. And this is the graphical representation of that cure of RURTA by the fourth follow-up, at the last of 6th month. So among these 385 children, 14% were exposed to COVID right now. And we made a survey among these children and their parents. Out of this 14% who were exposed to COVID-19, none of them had clinical positive symptoms of COVID-19 till this moment. That is the reason why, because we put the name Vangara model for this PHI program, special reference to COVID-19. I will specifically say that because we are also treating the adult population here, and one of my papers is yet to be published in one of the journal. We are treating the cases, active cases of the adults among 3 stages. Initially the Kapha stage, then comes the active Pitta stage, then comes the post-COVID stage. Either it may be Kapacha or Paithika stage. While treating the children, because we have never treated any of the children till date in COVID-19, we don't know how many of them got the RT-PCR positive or not. That is the reason why, because we are telling like that. But we are treating the adult case. From that light, I will say, there will be an initial Kapacha stage. At that time, you can use all the Ushna, Tishna, Dasimulagadtraya, Panchagola, Hinguashtaga, everything. If the child or adult is showing only the Kapacha symptoms like Shwasa, Kasa, but mind it, an active Pitta stage is yet to come. An active Pitta stage is yet to come. But before treating this Kapacha, we should anticipate this Pitta stage, because Acharya have already told that Samsrishte Kapapittabhyam Pittamadav Vinirjayet. Here, many of the Ayurveda people are also doing the mistakes that even after the starting of the Pitta stage, many of the people are administering Asava, Aristas, Ushna, Tishna drugs, so that the total case will be complicated. So don't do Ushna, Tishna treatments in the active Pitta stage. Mind teach that Ushna Tishna has to be given only at the Kapha stage. In active Pitta stage, you should do the Kapha Pitta Shamana by means of Tikta Rasa. By means of Tikta Rasa, what we are doing, initial stage, Kapacha stage, that is feverishness, loss of appetite, myalgia, dry cough, anosmia, sore throat, diarrhea. In this stage, the initial stage, we can give Ushna Tishna, but mind it, the upcoming Pitta is yet to touch the ojas, Abhinyasa Jwara, Hadajwara, Hadaujas, Sannipadam Abhinyasam, Bruvacha Hadaujasam. The Vishwa, Abhinyasa Jwara, Hadaujas, these are the three stages where these lakshanas of feverishness, loss of appetite, and anosmia are mentioned. In that stage, we can give the Ushna Tishna, but in active stage, fever shoot-ups, breathlessness, DVT, loss of sensorium, severe tiredness. In this stage, we are not supposed to give any of the Kabahara drugs. Rather, you do Kabapittahara Chikitsa. Third stage is the respiratory problems, myalgia, tiredness, and anosmia. Guruttam Stabdat Angeshu, Glanir Varnasya Vedanam, Tandra, Nidra, Vada Shobha, Bela Vyabadi Lakshanam, severe fatigue, severe glani, severe tandra, ojo vyabhat lakshanas are mentioned in third stage. This is the 64 elderly patients who were subjected for our management protocol. The beauty of this system is that, Ayurveda is that, if you are making a correct protocol by binding the Kapha and Pitta, the survival rate of each lakshana will be very low. The fever will be very low, cough will be very low, it will be maximum 1 day or 2 days, and after that we can finish all the signs and symptoms within 1 week. That is the beauty of Ayurveda medicine. If you are judiciously applying by minding the stage of Pitta, which we are pulling the patients into ICU if we are not minding the Pitta dosha. So the complication like black fungus, we know the mucormycosis. These are the different videos of the mucormycosis patients who were subjected to the different treatment protocol of allopathy. This is from the allopathy hospital what we have taken, because these are the typical features which are mentioned as Dr. Arunji is also rightly said that this is Kardama Visarpa stage, and this can be very well equated to Kardama Visarpa and Andar Visarpa. Marmovagada, Samrodha, Dayananam Pigattanal. This Andar Visarpa, Vidyat, Visarpam Andaryad Ashuchakni Belakshayal, immediate Akni Belakshayam leading to death. That can cause. So among 385 children, none of them had cough and cold after Ayurveda treatment. Majority of the children were exposed to COVID primary contact. Avoid chocolate, toffees, bakeries, curd, fried items and ice creams. Don't try new hair oils to children. These are the 9 commands what we are publicly circulating through the social media after this project. Don't try new hair oils to children. Apply Rasnadi Churnam, the special Ayurveda popular powder in Kerala. Immediately after the Snigdhopachara, that is Snana, you are supposed to apply this Rasnadi Churna. Consult a nearest Ayurveda doctor and take at least 3 months of common preventive medications. And as a general rule, take Rajanyadi Churna 2 grams in the evening regularly with honey after 2 years of age. Make a habit of drinking ginger or basil, tulsi leaves, boiled water regularly. Don't give food frequently. Adyashanam, very difficult. Adyashanam is the prime cause of immune compromise. Then Grahani Dushidam and Agnimandyam. So don't give food frequently unless the child is hungry. Make the child hungry so that he can take 3 times food or 5 times maximum in a day. And along with that, smear the nostril with the gingerly oil daily before taking bath. Smear the nostril daily with the gingerly oil. These are the 9 public comments what we are giving to the total population to prevent the COVID infection among the children in the next wave. Okay, let me conclude. My time is rightly 25 minutes. Number of COVID diseases, and that is totally unscientific according to my personal opinion. General public don't know what is the scope of Ayurveda. We all know what is the scope of Ayurveda. My humble request is that please propagate the scope of Ayurveda in terms of common man's language, among the auto rickshaw drivers, among the truck drivers, among the family members of the village, among the family members of different flats, not among the Ayurveda community. Right now, it is the time to spread our scope of or trust area of Ayurveda. How can we make intervention that should be known to the common public? Because majority of the Ayurveda hospitals are empty right now, but the majority of the modern hospitals are full of COVID patients. What I am telling, if the people are very well aware about the right sense of Ayurveda, what is the beauty of Ayurveda for the COVID-19, they will come to Ayurveda. They will come to Ayurveda hospital. So write articles in common man's language, in common man's publications, and use maximum social media effectively to spread the scientific knowledge of Ayurveda in terms of common man's population. So experience sharing from the patients are highly inevitable in this scenario. You see, this is the queue of common people in front of an Ayurveda doctor in Andhra Pradesh. So such a queue should be there among the Ayurveda hospital and Ayurveda practitioners. Then only it is the sign of general awareness of the population in common man regarding the effect of Ayurveda to prevent and cure COVID-19. By this, I am winding up. Let me sincerely thank to one and all the organizers of this great event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Dinesh. It was really very nice lecture. It was very simple yet very emphatically way you made us understand the Vengara model and Ottawa character as a holistic approach to treat not only COVID-19 perhaps, but any disease for that sake. Thank you so much for commendable explanation and very energetic talk you shared with us. I personally believe that perhaps other states must also advocate this Vengara model and spread the awareness among common medico and non-medico people. Thank you again, sir, for gracing this webinar. Now, may I kindly request our Professor Ashwini Bhargav, sir, for presidential address.
Dr. Swati, Professor Abhimanyu is along with us for so long. So we will welcome Professor Abhimanyu.
हाँ जी सर, आने दीजिए.
मामा यहाँ पे आने दीजिए, रानी सर कुछ कह रहे.
Dr. Abhimanyu is speaking now, I think. So.
No, I just remind Dr. Swati that Dr. Abhimanyu is along with us, just to welcome him only.
Yes, sorry, आवाज साफ नहीं आ रही थी sir. I kindly welcome Dr. Abhimanyu sir. Thanks for joining this webinar. And now may I request Professor Ashwini Bhargav sir for his presidential address.
Hello. Thank you so much. Yes.
Hello, sir, आपको आवाज आ रही है?
Dr. Abhimanyu.
So I'm audible?
Yes, sir.
So I just want to express my thanks for inviting me, but today I am just here as a listener. So I really enjoyed both the lectures because I just want to listen these energetic experts. So I think I may just express thanks to all of you, especially the organizers, such a wonderful lecture series. So for today, I think this is sufficient. Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Abhinav. Thank you so much.
Namaskar, everybody. मैं हिंदी में ही बोलूंगा. आज का ये जो वेबिनार अरेंज किया गया है उसके लिए डॉक्टर महेश व्यास जी, डॉक्टर सुरेंद्र चौधरी जी, डॉक्टर निशा ओझा जी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद कि इन्होंने पूरी मेहनत करके आज का वेबिनार जो है उसको अरेंज किया. जैसा कि प्रोफेसर संजीव शर्मा जी ने भी हम सबके सामने एक बात रखी कि जो थर्ड वेव है उसके बारे में जो चिंतन मीडिया में हो रहा है, अभी तक इस प्रकार से कि कोई भी एक्सपर्ट रिपोर्ट्स हमारे पास नहीं है कि ऐसी कोई थर्ड वेव आने वाली है जिसमें सिर्फ चिल्ड्रन जो है वे अफेक्ट करेंगे और ज्यादा करेंगे. और सभी जगह ऐसी मान्यता है कि जो पहली वेव्स भी आई हैं उनमें भी चिल्ड्रन अफेक्ट हुए हैं, लेकिन उनकी परसेंटेज बहुत कम है। जैसा कि अभी हमने वेनगार मॉडल में भी देखा, डॉक्टर दिनेश केएस जी ने हमारे सामने बात रखी, इन्होंने भी चिल्ड्रन को ही साथ में रख के इसके ऊपर स्टडीज की हैं अपनी। तो बहुत अच्छे ढंग से इन्होंने चीजों को प्रेजेंट किया है कि किस प्रकार से हम लोग किसी भी पेंडेमिक में, जरूरी नहीं है कि हम अफेक्टेड पर्सन के ऊपर फोकस करके काम करें, ऐसे सब लोगों को भी एक्टिवेट किया जा सकता है जो कि उनके साथ सेकेंडरी रूप से इन्वॉल्व है। जैसे अगर हम बच्चों के साथ, हमें लगता है कि आने वाला समय बच्चों के ऊपर ज्यादा इफेक्ट करेगा, तो जिस प्रकार से उन्होंने टीचर्स को मोटिवेट किया, पेरेंट्स को मोटिवेट किया, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को मोटिवेट किया और उनको उन बच्चों को समझाने के लिए लगाया, और इस प्रकार से जो वो सर्च था वो आगे नहीं बढ़ पाया, बल्कि अच्छे रिजल्ट्स जो हैं हमें उस सारे प्रोग्राम से मिले हैं। और ये एक बहुत अच्छी बात है, वेनगोरा मॉडल की जो बात अभी की गई है, इन जनरल भी अगर हम फॉलो हमने किया है तो मुझे लगता है कि वहां भी रिजल्ट्स मिलेंगे। अब ऐसा रिगरसली उसको अगर हम फॉलो करेंगे, अगर थर्ड वेव आती है, चिल्ड्रन के लिए नहीं हम बात कर रहे हैं, अगर जनरली भी थर्ड वेव आती है, तो अब आयुर्वेद के पास हमारे पास डेटा अवेलेबल है कि अपने डॉक्टर्स ने बहुत मेहनत करके सभी रसशास्त्रीय औषधियों का भी प्रयोग किया गया। यहां तक कि ऐसे पेशेंट्स जो वेंटिलेटर पे जा चुके थे, पेशेंट के जो कह सकते हैं उनके जो रिलेटिव्स हैं, उनके माध्यम से, उनकी कंसेंट से उनको जब कुछ मेडिसिन दी गई तो उसके भी बड़े अच्छे रिजल्ट दिखे। आयु 64 के ऊपर जो हम सब ने काम किया है और फीड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन जो चल रहा है, वो अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ी बात है कि गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया इसकी फीड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन करके क्लिनिकल ट्रायल्स के बाद उसका प्रयोग कर रही है। तो आज भी दोनों ही वक्ता, चाहे वो डॉक्टर महापात्रा हो जो ऑल इंडिया इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ आयुर्वेदा दिल्ली से हैं, उनका भी वक्तव्य अपने आप में परिपूर्ण वक्तव्य था। जैसा कि एक मैं कहता हूं कि अगर बच्चों के ऊपर हम कोशिश करेंगे तो नेचुरली है कि ये प्रोटोकॉल जो हम लोगों ने फॉलो करना है, उसके अंदर उसकी जो मेंटल अवेयरनेस है, मेंटली उनके ऊपर भी, मेंटल एस्पेक्ट्स के ऊपर भी हमें बहुत ज्यादा ध्यान देना पड़ेगा। और यहाँ तक कि अगर हम ऐसे बच्चों की भी बात करें जो कि अभी इन्फेंटाइल स्टेज में है, उसके आगे 1 से 2 साल की एज में है, उसके बाद 5 से 6 साल की एज में है, उसके बाद 12-13 साल की एज में है, उसके बाद 18 ईयर्स की एज में है, तो इन सब बच्चों के ऊपर हम किस प्रकार से फोकस करना है। अगर प्रेगनेंसी के समय जब एक बच्चा पैदा होता है, तो उस समय अगर हमें ऐसा लग रहा है कि कोविड के कुछ लक्षण आ रहे हैं, तो उस टाइम पे किस प्रकार से हम लोगों को आगे बढ़ना है, इसके बारे में भी चिंतन जो है गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने भी किया है। और आपके भी वक्तव्यों में ये सब बात मुझे देखने के लिए मिली है। आज ही मैं एक सोशल मीडिया के ऊपर प्रोटोकॉल देख रहा हूं, होम केयर गाइडलाइंस फॉर द चिल्ड्रन। आयुष मिनिस्ट्री ने ये जो गाइडलाइंस हैं वो जारी की हैं, होम केयर गाइडलाइंस फॉर द चिल्ड्रन। तो मुझे ऐसे लगता है कि इसमें सभी एस्पेक्ट्स को बड़े अच्छे ढंग से इनकॉर्पोरेट किया गया है। होम केयर में उन्होंने प्रैक्टिशनर, पेशेंट्स, पेरेंट्स और केयर टेकर्स को जोड़ा है। एडवाइजरी जो जारी की गई है उसके बारे में सारा कुछ बताया, किस प्रकार से अगर फिजिशियन को भी बच्चों को हैंडल करना है तो किस प्रकार से करना, एक एक चीज को अच्छे ढंग से इसमें टच किया गया है। तो इसलिए मैं निशा ओझा जी और स्वाति त्यागी मैम से ये रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि विश्व आयुर्वेद परिषद की तरफ से हम ऐसे छोटे छोटे सेमिनार्स ऑर्गेनाइज करें जिसमें पर्टिकुलरली ये जो होम केयर की हम बात कर रहे हैं, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने गाइडलाइंस जारी की हैं, इसको तुरंत हम ग्राउंड लेवल तक पहुंचाना शुरू करें, ताकि आम लोगों तक ये बात पहुंचे कि अगर थर्ड वेव आती है तो आयुर्वेद उसके लिए ऑलरेडी तैयार है। और गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया जब भी गाइडलाइंस जारी करती है, हमने अब तक कोविड के इस पीरियड में देखा है कि गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने जब भी गाइडलाइंस जारी की हैं, जो भी चीजें उसके अंदर लिखी हैं, उसके पीछे सफिशिएंट एविडेंसेस आर देयर विदाउट सफिशिएंट एविडेंसेस गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने एक भी एडवाइजरी जारी नहीं की है। तो इस बात को हमें जन जन तक पहुंचाना है, हमें एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन तक भी पहुंचाना है। अभी आयुष 64 जब बांटने की बात आती है तो कई बार हम डेटा जो है मांगने के लिए सिविल सर्जन के पास डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल पे जब लोग जाते हैं तो उनको डेटा भी प्रोवाइड नहीं किया जा रहा है कि कौन से कोविड पेशेंट जो है वो होम क्वारंटाइन है। तो इस प्रकार का जो माहौल है, उस माहौल के अंदर हमें विश्व आयुर्वेद परिषद की तरफ से पूरी शक्ति के साथ लगना पड़ेगा। जैसा आज आपने इसकी शुरुआत कर दी है, आप सबको साधुवाद। तो अब हम इसी ढंग से, मुझे लगता है कि ग्राउंड लेवल पे एक एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल पे ऐसे छोटे छोटे सेमिनार करके जिसमें एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के लोग भी जुड़े हों और जिसमें जैसे पॉलिटिकल लोग भी जुड़े हों, इन सबको साथ जोड़ के, ताकि इनको समझ आए कि आयुर्वेद है क्या और हम किस प्रकार से बिना कोई बहुत ज्यादा टेंशन लिए हुए हम लोग इसको आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं। इसीलिए जितने भी डेथ्स हुई हैं, जैसे अभी पिछले स्पीकर ने भी ये बात बताई है कि जितनी डेथ्स हुई है पैनिक के कारण से हुई हैं, चिंता के कारण से ज्यादा हुई हैं। जब हमारे ये चिंता का जो पॉइंट है हमारे बीच में नहीं रहेगा तो मुझे लगता है कि डेथ्स भी कम होंगी और कोविड को हम संभालने में कामयाब हो जाएंगे। एक तो इम्यूनिटी बूस्टिंग वाला जो अपना कंसेप्ट है वो ही बचाने वाला आने वाले समय। ठीक है, ट्रीटमेंट में भी हम बहुत आगे बढ़ चुके हैं, लेकिन इम्यूनिटी बूस्टिंग के ऊपर हमें और फोकस करना होगा। जैसे अभी मैं देख रहा था कि जिसमें अभी स्वर्ण प्राशन के ऊपर भी किसी मुझे लगता है कि लिस्टर ने ये लिखा है कि इसके ऊपर भी एक कंप्लीट जो वेबिनार है हमें करना चाहिए। तो इतना ही मैं सब कहते हुए, मैं आप सबको साधुवाद देते हुए मैं आप सबको एश्योर भी करना चाहता हूं कि विश्व आयुर्वेद परिषद अपने पूरे मंथन के साथ उन सभी लोगों को इस प्लेटफॉर्म के ऊपर लेके आएगा। जो भी आयुर्वेद की फ्रेटर्निटी है उसको पूरी तरह से तैयार करने का प्रयास करेगा और अपने इस प्लेटफॉर्म से हम लोग पूरे जोर के साथ कोविड-19 जो है उसको भारत में से खत्म करने का पूरा प्रयास कर रहे हैं और करेंगे। और आप सबको इसके लिए साधुवाद, और पूरी विश्व आयुर्वेद परिषद की टीम जो कि मेरे साथ जुड़ी हुई है उन सब का मैं साधुवाद देता हूं। अपने वाइस चांसलर जी जो कि अभी जुड़े थे हमारे साथ, अभिमन्यु जी, उनको भी उन्होंने भी बहुत मेहनत करके अपनी यूनिवर्सिटी के अंदर किस प्रकार से कोविड सेंटर्स को चलाया है। ऐसे ही अपने डॉक्टर संजीव जी ने भी अपना जो अभी जो यूनिवर्सिटी बन चुकी है NIA में, उसमें पूरी गति के साथ वो लोग काम कर रहे हैं। और ये जो छोटी सी बात नहीं है, आने वाला समय आयुर्वेद का ही है, इसलिए हम सबको आगे बढ़ना है। इतना ही कहते हुए मैं अपनी वाणी को विराम देता हूँ। धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद सर, आपका मार्गदर्शन और प्रोत्साहन हम सबके लिए बहुत बहुमूल्य है। अब मैं रिक्वेस्ट करती हूँ प्रोफेसर गोविंद शुक्ला सर से कि काइंडली गिव द वोट ऑफ थैंक्स एंड वी विल जस्ट एंड द वेबिनार। थैंक यू सर। ओवर टू यू डॉक्टर गोविंद शुक्ला सर।
स्वाति जी, गोविंद शुक्ला जी नहीं दिख रहे हैं।
मैम आप इसका एंड कर दीजिए। डॉक्टर निशा मैम।
थैंक यू डॉक्टर स्वाति। मैं सबसे पहले तो अभी ये तो धन्यवाद ज्ञापन की श्रृंखला शुरू हो गई, लेकिन मैं मेरे गुरुजी प्रोफेसर अभिमन्यु कुमार सर का स्वागत करती हूँ पहले इस वेबिनार में। और एक चीज और शेयर करना चाहूंगी कि अभी आज ही की डेट में जो कोविड होम केयर गाइडलाइन जो है वो मिनिस्ट्री का जो आज रिलीज हुआ है गाइडलाइन, वो प्रोफेसर अभिमन्यु कुमार सर की ही अध्यक्षता में बनी है वो गाइडलाइन, जो कि आज रिलीज हो गई है बच्चों के कोविड केयर के लिए, उनके प्रोफाइलेक्सिस के लिए और केयर के लिए। तो मैं सबका पहले तो सर का स्वागत करती हूँ और धन्यवाद ज्ञापन के लिए प्रोफेसर महेश व्यास सर को आमंत्रित करती हूँ। सर, महेश व्यास सर
जी। नमस्कार जी। प्रोफेसर अभिमन्यु जी, ऑनरेबल वाइस चांसलर जोधपुर आयुर्वेद विश्वविद्यालय, प्रोफेसर संजीव शर्मा जी, ऑनरेबल वाइस चांसलर नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ आयुर्वेद जयपुर, तथा इस कार्यक्रम में उपस्थित सभी बंधुओं, सबसे पहले तो मैं हार्दिक कृतज्ञता ज्ञापित करता हूं प्रोफेसर संजीव शर्मा जी के प्रति कि जो कार्यक्रम के प्रारंभ से लगा करके अभी तक जुड़े हुए हैं और सदैव आयुर्वेद के लिए, विकास के लिए जो भी कार्य करने की आवश्यकता होती है, आपका सहयोग हमेशा प्राप्त होता है। और जिनके नेतृत्व में नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ आयुर्वेद जयपुर आज आयुर्वेद के क्षेत्र में एक नवीन ऊंचाई के ऊपर है। तो आपने ये कह सकते हैं कि आयुर्वेद की दिशा और दशा दोनों को ही ऊपर उठाने में आपका एक महत्वपूर्ण योगदान रहा। और आज के इस कार्यक्रम में प्रारंभ में आपने हम सबका मनोबल बढ़ाया और मार्गदर्शन किया, इसके लिए मैं आपका हृदय से धन्यवाद देता हूं। साथ ही आज के कार्यक्रम में हम सबके लिए गौरव की बात है कि जिनकी उपस्थिति से आज ये कार्यक्रम गरिमामय हुआ, प्रोफेसर अभिमन्यु कुमार जी, जिन्होंने भारतवर्ष का जो मुख्य संस्थान है ऑल इंडिया इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ आयुर्वेद, उसके बाद में उत्तरांचल आयुर्वेद विश्वविद्यालय, और वर्तमान में जो राजस्थान सर्वपल्ली राधाकृष्णन आयुर्वेद विश्वविद्यालय जोधपुर, उसमें आपके नेतृत्व में आयुर्वेद के विविध शोध कार्य जो हैं बड़े सफलतापूर्वक संपन्न हो रहे हैं। और कोविड-20 में 2020 में भी और 2021 में भी कोविड के लिए आपने विशेष रूप से बहुत ही अच्छे कार्य किए थे। और वो हम सबको पता है कि अनुसंधान कार्य के जितने भी क्लिनिकल ट्रायल और वो हुए थे, जिनके परिणाम स्वरूप ही आयुर्वेद को पूरे देश में स्थापित करने में एक नया कहना चाहिए कि अध्याय प्रारंभ हुआ था। उसी प्रकार से आज के कार्यक्रम के दोनों ही वक्ता डॉक्टर दिनेश केएस जो आयुर्वेदशाला कोटकल से हैं, प्रोफेसर एंड हेड है डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ कुमार वृत्ति के, और उन्होंने बड़े ही अच्छे से, और साथ ही डॉक्टर अरुण कुमार महापात्रा जो ऑल इंडिया इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ आयुर्वेद में है, दोनों ने ही, जैसा कि अभी कहा जा रहा है कि हो सकता है कि थर्ड वेव आए और उसमें बच्चों के स्वास्थ्य के ऊपर ज्यादा प्रभाव हो, दोनों ने अपने उद्बोधन में वो सारी बातें कि किस प्रकार से हमको प्रिवेंटिव एस्पेक्ट में ध्यान रखना चाहिए, किस प्रकार से अगर ये थर्ड वेव में ऐसा होता है तो हमको किन किन चीजों का ध्यान रखना चाहिए। आज का व्याख्यान इतना अच्छा था कि दोनों को अगर 1-1 घंटे का व्याख्यान का समय अगर दिया जाता तो शायद उनके द्वारा बताई गई हर बात हम सबके लिए उपयोगी होती। तो मैं दोनों ही आज के वक्ता, इन दोनों ने समय दिया और इतना अच्छा उद्बोधन दिया, उसके लिए मैं दोनों के प्रति हार्दिक धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करता हूं। आज के इस कार्यक्रम में प्रोफेसर बीएल मेहरा जी जो सेवानिवृत्त प्रोफेसर एंड हेड है डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ काई चिकित्सा के गवर्नमेंट आयुर्वेद महाविद्यालय पपरोला से वो उपस्थित हैं। साथ ही जो विश्व आयुर्वेद परिषद की पूरी टीम है जिनके नेतृत्व में कार्य करती है प्रोफेसर योगेश चंद्र मिश्र जी बरेली से, और पूरे ही हर एक कार्यक्रम में उनका मार्गदर्शन रहता है और उनकी उपस्थिति इसमें रही। साथ ही इस कार्यक्रम की अध्यक्षता जिन्होंने की विश्व आयुर्वेद परिषद के राष्ट्रीय महासचिव प्रोफेसर अश्विनी भार्गव जी, जो सदैव ही, जैसा कि आज भी उन्होंने कहा कि आगे भी हमको किस प्रकार से अवेयरनेस के रूप में और इस प्रकार के कोविड की कंडीशन से लड़ने के लिए क्या क्या करना चाहिए, उन सब बातों के लिए अपना मार्गदर्शन किया, अध्यक्षीय उद्बोधन दिया। साथ ही प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर सुरेंद्र चौधरी जी जो विश्व आयुर्वेद परिषद के उत्तर प्रदेश के अध्यक्ष हैं, और उन्होंने प्रारंभ में भी आयुर्वेद विश्व आयुर्वेद परिषद और इन सब के बारे में बताया, और उनके नेतृत्व में विश्व आयुर्वेद परिषद के बहुत ही कई क्रियाकलाप चल रहे हैं, प्रकल्प चल रहे हैं जो सफलतापूर्वक संपादित कर रहे हैं। साथ ही ये पूरा कार्यक्रम जो है उसको सही रूप से समायोजित करने में जिनकी मुख्य भूमिका रही वो भी प्रोफेसर सुरेंद्र चौधरी जी हैं। साथ ही इस कार्यक्रम के जो मुख्य कोऑर्डिनेटर थे डॉक्टर निशा जी जो एचओडी हैं डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ कुमार वृत्ति के नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ आयुर्वेद जयपुर में, और डॉक्टर स्वाति जी जो पंचकर्म सेंटर दिल्ली में उसकी डायरेक्टर हैं। आप दोनों ने ही इस पूरे कार्यक्रम का मुख्य रूप से आयोजन किया क्योंकि ये राष्ट्रीय कार्यक्रम था विश्व आयुर्वेद परिषद का, और इसमें इन दोनों को ही मुख्य रूप से कोऑर्डिनेटर का दायित्व दिया गया था। तो ये पूरा ही कार्यक्रम उन्होंने बहुत ही अच्छे से संपादित किया, तो विशेष रूप से ये दोनों ही धन्यवाद के पात्र हैं। साथ ही मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा कि पूरे भारतवर्ष से करीब 250 से अधिक फैकल्टी मेंबर, एमडी स्कॉलर, पीएचडी स्कॉलर सभी इस कार्यक्रम में जुड़े हुए थे। तो प्रत्येक ईच एंड एवरी पर्सन जो इस कार्यक्रम में जुड़े थे और उनके जुड़ने के कारण ही आज का ये कार्यक्रम सफल हुआ है, तो मैं उन सभी के प्रति हार्दिक धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करता हूं। और अंत में यही कहता हूं कि विश्व आयुर्वेद परिषद के माध्यम से इस प्रकार के कार्यक्रम अगर निरंतर होते रहेंगे तो निश्चित रूप से चाहे किसी भी प्रकार की कठिनाई आ जाए, कोरोना की थर्ड वेव, फोर्थ वेव जितनी आती रहे, हम निश्चित रूप से उससे लड़ेंगे, उससे जीतेंगे, और आयुर्वेद को राष्ट्रीय चिकित्सा पद्धति बनाने में सभी की महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका रहेगी। इसके साथ ही मैं अपनी बात को पूर्ण करता हूँ। नमस्कार, धन्यवाद।